Return to Videotech.
Okay, we're back for a very exciting episode number 10, Matt. We made it to episode 10. How's it feel?
Well, it's definitely a slow crawl, you know. It's in the
It's
vein
been,
of 70s style filmmaking. It's a slow burn, this show.
yeah, exactly. Dude, it's been like when did we start? Like 5 or 6 months ago? And now we're
Yeah.
just now getting to episode 10.
Well, the plan was to do like 2 a month, and we're more like 1.5 a month. So,
Yeah, some things have happened,
yeah, it's
but
okay.
it's okay.
It's
We're
all
trying
right.
to
I
keep
mean,
this show relaxed.
if we pick up the pace, we pick up the pace. I don't think we'll ever pick up the pace like super much more than that, but like
Yeah.
if we get back to 2 a month, I'll be like, okay, we're doing a good job.
Yeah. The one a week. I don't know how you and Zach did one a week. That's like so much. Even though you guys only covered one movie each week, that's still so much, I feel like.
And there were times where we were like backlogging episodes too. I mean, there were times where I'd go over and we record like 2 and then I'd go back over his house the next week. There were times where, Zach is just like he burns bright and fast and then he burns himself out.
Well,
So
we got to try to get him on the show at some point for like a special ep or something. We got to try to talk him into it.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Although we'd have to figure out like the technical element of that too.
Oh yeah, we could figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave that to you.
Okay, but anyways, we like to start the show off with talking about some stuff that we've either seen in the theaters or stuff we've picked up. So have you been to the theaters or picked anything cool up recently?
Well, for me, being to the theater is nothing. It's a big zero from me lately. I will say of the stuff that's out, I do want to see the last Mission Impossible movie. I'm not caught up. I've missed at least the last one, maybe the last couple.
Oh, dude,
So
you can't go see the new one then because it's like part two of Dead Reckoning or
I
whatever.
know, but I've heard that I've heard that it's okay to miss
Yeah,
it. But
I
did you see it?
no, I really wanted to. We were gonna try to go yesterday, but ended up doing some family stuff. But
Yeah.
I did go and see the new Final Destination movie though. It's kind
Oh,
of
is
a
that
funny
fun?
story.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on going, but I was in Milwaukee picking my mom up from the airport
Oh,
and her
fun.
flight got delayed and I was
Mm.
there like early anyways.
Yeah.
So I tried to plan it out to where I could go and see the movie and then be there in time to pick her up, which it worked out perfectly, like the timing of the movie. But then when I left the theater, like part of the highway was closed down. So I so we didn't end up getting back home until like 1 or 2 in the morning. I don't remember, but
Oh
anyways,
God.
the movie was all right though.
Yeah.
The
Well,
story's
I,
better.
I know like Tony Todd has like a final
Oh
appearance,
yeah. Yeah,
and
his scene is like a send off like to
yeah,
his fans. I feel like it was like it was a very touching moment. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something just about like try to enjoy life, you know.
yeah. I actually saw it like on Instagram or something. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So
Uh-huh.
I would like to see that. I do want to see the that friendship movie too.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
But nothing's like drawing me out so bad though that I'm like I need to get out and see it. Like I want to see those movies, but I'm not like I'm not feeling so drawn that I need to leave the house and go do it. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten around to it. I did rent a movie occasionally, despite owning an endless amount of movies. Occasionally, I think it's fun to like rent something off streaming that you're like maybe you didn't get to see in the theater.
Hmm.
Um, make a little night of it. I don't know if you're familiar with this movie at all. I remember seeing the trailers for it and being like, "This looks weird and up my alley." I think it's an A24 movie. It's called Parthenope.
Oh, dude, yeah, I heard that movie's great actually.
Oh, really? It had like pretty
Yeah.
mixed reviews. I think it only has like a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. But
Oh,
I liked it. Now it is like it's hard to get a read on. Um,
yeah.
Basically, it seems like it's about the horrors of true beauty.
Yeah. The trailer made it look like Y Tu Mama Tambien to me, like
Yeah,
there's like some
yeah.
sort of three-way thing going on. But I guess that's not
There is
actually
a
what it
weird
is.
thing. Yeah, there's the all of the sexuality in the movie is weird. I will say.
Hmm.
Um, I want to watch it again. I gave it a good rating because I did like it, but it's too hard to like try to unpack after one viewing. It's
Yeah.
just so odd, but it is like it's not unlike the main character. There's a beauty to the movie, but that's hard to take in and explain. Like,
Yeah, yeah. My
um,
buddy Brian from Last Movie Standing is like selling that movie hard right now,
oh,
so
good, good. I'm
I
glad
wanted
it's
to
got
know.
fans because I did like it too, but it's just I don't know. I'll probably pick it up at some point because I've been buying more of the A24. I don't know that they've done a physical release of that, but like,
Yeah.
um, I have been buying more of their releases lately. So I don't know. I'm in. There's more to come with Parthenope and me.
Well,
um,
speaking of buying stuff, do you want to
yeah.
talk about, you said you wanted to talk about the Vinegar Syndrome sale. Did you end up buying anything?
I did buy some stuff, although I'd have to go into my uh email to actually check and see what it all is. I got a couple things without slip covers that I was just like, you know what? I just need to own this, and it's a good deal. Like Red Rooms was one of them,
Oh
but it
yeah.
wasn't. It was
You know
not.
how I feel about that movie.
Yeah. I assume you did. You get it from there?
I bought it off Amazon, but
Or did you?
it's like a partner label, I think, anyways, so
Okay.
it's not like you have to get it direct from them, but
Now the hard thing about these sales is like, I mean, like when is this stuff coming? You know?
oh yeah, I'm not expecting to get my order forever because the one that you suggested me to get, Breathless, the
Yeah.
cinematograph, I think that's a pre-order, and when you have like a pre-order in your order, they don't ship it out until that one is ready to go. I think that's how it goes at least.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right. And I have something to I think Jade is a pre-order, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
that was
that's
a new announcement.
a movie that I bought because I am a William Friedkin fan. I do think this is a movie that's not that great. But it's an erotic thriller that was written by the same guy that wrote Basic Instinct, and William Friedkin directed it, and it's like, all right, I gotta have this. I mean,
Well, dude, I feel like if you had to rank your top genres, like your kinds of movies,
uh-huh.
erotic thriller is up there for
Oh,
you.
it's a top five for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the top five. And there's not enough of them. So
Hmm.
the people that made them, it's like I gotta support the cause. I did grab From Beyond too, which I had planned to. That was the one thing I knew going in that I was gonna get.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
with
because they put
Barbara
a new
Crampton.
slipcover out for that, right? I have the
Yeah,
Scream Factory, just like standard basic bitch
yeah.
Blu-ray.
And then I got a couple of blind buys, Keith. I got Graduation Day and Shallow Grave.
Oh, nice. I heard Shallow Grave was cool. That's like a Mexican horror movie, right?
Yeah, I
Or
know. I
I
don't
might be
know.
thinking of something.
I may have heard it on. I don't know if I did or not, but I did watch the video you did with the couple dudes, like Miles of Horror and
Hmm.
another gentleman. And I, because like the stuff that was being recommended on that, like there was so much of it that was not on my radar. When you guys were
Oh
talking about
yeah.
like Ticks being a banger, I'm like, what Ticks? I guess I
Yeah,
just don't
those
know enough
those
about it.
guys, yeah, Jordan and Robbie they're heavy into that stuff. Like they've been subscribers for a long time, or at least Robbie has. So
Yeah,
they were just giving me recommendations. I have a ton of stuff on my order list here.
yeah. And then I also grabbed, um, where is it? Well, I did. I wanted to tell you I grabbed one other thing because I am finding myself becoming a fan of cinematograph. Like I,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the releases are home runs, and I did not get Breathless yet because I do own another copy of it, but I do love the American version of Breathless. And Lindsay and I were watching Contempt the other night, which is like my favorite John Luc Godard movie,
Hmm.
and she was like, "Well, what are people's favorites?" And I was like, "Well, Breathless is probably usually like number one." She's like, "Well, and you famously don't like Breathless, right?" And I was like, "Well, that's not true. I do like it, but I prefer to watch the American version, even though I don't think it's like as classic of a film. You know, obviously, like the
Yeah.
original Breathless is like it's the French New Wave poster child. I mean, it's of course, you know, a classic with importance in history, but." Like the American one with Richard Gere. I think is such a fun watch, and it like heavily inspired True Romance. Like,
Oh,
have you?
really?
Yeah, you haven't watched it before yet.
I've never seen this, and I've never seen the French version, which I was gonna ask, like, do you think it's necessary for me to see that one before I
No,
watch the American one?
no, you
No?
don't need to.
Okay.
I mean, you should watch it at some point just because it's a
Yeah.
staple.
It's on my
You
list
know.
for this sale if I see it in a Barnes and Noble.
So, but I loved the release that Cinematograph did of Breathless. The cover art looks so cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
someday I'll have that.
It's kind of like a comic book type.
Yeah,
drawing
which is a
thing.
big
It looks
part of
cool.
it. He's like a big like Silver Surfer fan or something.
Oh, okay. Do
Um,
you want to hear my list real quick?
yes, I do.
Because it's ridiculous. So, Breathless, Ticks, Demon Wind, Primal Rage, Redneck Zombies, Riddle of Fire, Howling 2, and The Tenant.
Yeah, so half the list I don't know at all.
Dude, these are, I haven't seen any of them. They're all blind buys. But the one
Mm.
that I think I'm most excited for is Riddle of Fire. Have you watched a trailer for that?
Is that the one? Did you send me the trailer
I think I might have sent you the
with the
trailer
kids
for it.
playing
Yeah.
paintball?
Yeah, it's kids riding like
Yeah.
motorized bicycles around the woods, shooting each other and shooting people with paintball guns. It just looks ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it did look it looked fun from what you sent me. It
Kind
looked
of like
like
a modern fairy tale type thing.
yeah, yeah. But like it looked like a really like serious tone though too. Like serious and
Yeah,
fun at the same time.
yeah, which is our bag.
Yeah, absolutely, I would say so. And I also ordered a Cinematograph t-shirt.
Oh, hell yeah.
I ordered it a size up because they didn't have my size, but I was just like, I loved the shirt so much that it. They have a bunch that like are the names of movies, but the pictures don't like exactly like look like
Yeah.
it's Pulp Fiction is the name of it, but doesn't look like from the movie Pulp Fiction. But the one I got was the Last Picture Show one, and I had seen it before, and I knew they didn't have it in my size, and I was just like, I just want this shirt. I don't care. I'll size up, and if I have to find a way
Yeah.
to shrink it, I will.
I
Um,
love like the boutique label merch,
oh
but
yeah.
for some reason I just never buy any of it. I'm always like, well, I could spend 30 bucks on this cool hat or I could also just buy another
No,
movie.
I know. This is my first time like buying a t-shirt of one of
Yeah.
those. Although I do have an A24 shirt,
I,
but
I have an A24 beanie.
yeah, I actually bought an A24 beanie for Lindsay.
Mine looks so weird on me though. It's like it's one of those like snowboarder ones where it's just like the
Yeah.
top. If you don't if you don't pull it way down over your eyeballs, like there's
Oh
just a
yeah.
huge reservoir on the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's tough. You need to find the right fit when it comes to hats.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have a lot that don't have the right fit for me. So,
Dude,
but I am excited.
the one
Go ahead.
piece of boutique label merch that I've always really wanted, but I think it's just I don't know if they make it anymore. But have you ever seen the movie House from Criterion Collection with the
I
crazy? Let me
I
just
have
grab it real quick.
Keith, I'll tell you this. Haven't seen it, do own it. So it's
It's
sitting
fun.
downstairs. Yes, I know. I also have the Criterion. I know this is like very, very famous. Oh, it may be like one of the most famous cult movies of all time, right?
It's an insane, like I think it's Japanese, yeah, like haunted house movie,
Yeah.
but it's insane, absolutely batshit. But they make a T-shirt that's all orange and it just has that face on it, so
Yes, yes.
it looks
Criterion
awesome.
actually sells it, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they do anymore. I should
Oh.
check their website,
I
but
saw when like Bill Hader did his Criterion closet, he was wearing it.
yeah,
I thought that was so
dude.
funny.
Also, side note, the guy who designed this cover. His name on he has a YouTube channel called Sam's Myth where he just talks about collecting and stuff too. And I
Oh
think he
yeah,
does
yeah.
like some music stuff, like he's a musician, but his channel's really cool if you ever I'll send it to you so you can check it out at some
Okay,
point.
man. Hey, two tie-ins to this episode. I did bring my beer for today. It's
Oh
the
yeah.
Deschutes Black Butte Porter. Deschutes, of course, an Oregon brewery. Um, and you and I actually watched the movie that we're spotlighting together in that region, not in Oregon. We were
Yeah.
in Washington, but you know,
I bought the Blu-ray while we were there.
yeah, you said that, and I didn't remember that part. We'll have to get
Yeah.
into that. Let's save that for
We'll save it. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
show it up and we'll save it for then.
But the other
But
thing I wanted to say, like in regards to what we're doing this episode, Gareth Edwards, the director, in terms of like the theater, I do want to see. He directed the new Jurassic Park, and I want to see it
uh-huh.
when that comes
Yeah.
out.
Dude, yeah, that was one of the notes I wrote down. We could talk about it again later, but
Those
he
guys,
took like a long break, I think, right?
that I think you're right. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that franchise, I mean, for the first Jurassic Park being a movie that I hold in the highest regard, one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my most seen movies of all time. I'm so loyal to the franchise because of that first movie, and
Hmm.
it's like they never get it back as good as that
Yeah.
first movie, and it's almost like progressively worse. But this last
Yeah.
trilogy was pretty rough, And
Yeah, I
I I
agree.
was I was like, "I can't believe that they're already doing another one." But the fact that he directed it and the
Hmm.
trailers look, like I'm kinda in. I'm kinda back in.
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't take much for me to get back in on
yeah,
this franchise. So I don't know, I'm glad that he's, the director of it, and I hope, I hope I like it.
yeah. I have high hopes for that too, especially because he's directing it. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I'm a fan.
There was
All
one
right,
other thing I wanted to tell you about too,
okay, go for it.
because I was, very close to you once again, in Chicago. And I need to tell you a little something, Keith, about the Beyonce Cowboy Carter Act 2.
Yeah.
I did pick up the Cowboy Carter tour hat while I was there. They actually I had to buy merch. I spent like so much money on the merch. It's insane. And it's like not even great merch, but it's like I had to get merch there. There was somebody walking around, they had a denim Cowboy Carter hat, and it was actually pretty sweet, but sold out. Like, they had none of the good stuff by the time
I'm
I went
trying
to
to
the show.
I'm trying to picture you wearing a denim freaking hat
Well,
from that.
Lindsay was like, because I did try to participate a little bit, because like everybody, it's basically all women and gay men, and
Yeah.
everyone dressed like cowboys. I tried to participate. I wore the most denim jeans that I had, with like a kind of westerny looking button up shirt. Um, and our hotel was giving out bandanas, so I tied one around my neck. So I did make an effort, but I got to tell you, I went thinking I would be like okay on it. I like pop music. I'm not ashamed of that. If someone wants to shame me for it, there's the door. I mean, I'm not ashamed of my love of pop music. But Beyonce, I really only knew like the hits. I had been listening to the Cowboy Carter album a little bit leading up, and I gushed about the Grammys this year on one of our early episodes. But I really didn't talk that much about the fact that she actually won Album of the Year for this. And
Okay.
there were people walking around with like a sash that said Album of the Year on it. Wow, that's fun. And I got to tell you, Keith, my life is changed from going to this show.
Really?
We now own two copies of the vinyl, like the regular version and the extended version. Lindsay had pre-ordered the regular, but there was a second release with more songs on it, and we bought that too. I bought her last album on vinyl yesterday, Renaissance, and I also had Lemonade in my hands, but there was like a tear in the shrink wrap, and I was like, you know what? If I'm buying this, it needs to be fully sealed.
I'm getting you a sash for the next concert you go to that just says mega fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am a dues paying member of the Beehive Boys now, and the whole performance was unbelievable. I had such a good time.
How
I
close
would
were you
recommend,
guys?
yeah, I would recommend anyone going to a Beyonce show. And let me tell you, 43 years old, and she gets out there and shakes it. I mean, you would fall out of your chair still. You're like, whoa.
All right.
It's
Well, I'm
like, what
glad
a
you had
time.
fun.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and I love Chicago. It's definitely like one of the few like true metropolis cities in
Mhm.
America.
I
Um,
fucking hate driving through there.
it's horrible. I could live there if I didn't have to drive there.
Yeah.
Driving through there is terrible, but
I
you
do
know,
think it's one of the cities where you probably can live there, like New York, and not have a car and be all right, as
for
long as you
sure.
don't have to go outside the city.
But I think more people do drive there than New York. Like
Oh, for
it's more
sure.
it's
Yeah.
more common for people to have cars. But I agree with you that you can definitely get
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Um, because the two times I've hung out there, we just fly and Uber everywhere. There's a train
Mhm.
too, but
Yeah.
great time in Chicago, and it see Beyonce before you're dead, people. This is a public service announcement.
All right.
So
Cool. I'm glad you had fun. Let's get into
thank
the
you.
real show.
Sweet.
All right, Matt. It's time to talk about our blind buy slash in the shrink wrap, whatever you guys want to call it. And you did the Conformist, right?
I did do the Conformist. I have a copy that I bought from uh, Kino Lorber. Of course, it's a Bernardo Bertolucci film, who also directed like Last Tango in Paris, a movie that I talk about seemingly a lot on this show for some reason. And I wanted to see more of his movies, so I did a Kino purchase recently. I grabbed this. I grabbed Fellaini's Casanova, which was a little bit of a tough watch for me that I didn't talk about on here because I didn't really like it that much. But I am trying to get more and more into these directors that I just don't really know as much of their catalog, but they're pretty famous. And this is like a weird, unsettling crime movie. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but there's a like bizarre behavior element to it too that sort of reminds me of Italian horror movies. Like this is an Italian movie, but like you know how people always have those like awkward the way they like awkwardly and quickly talk to each other and interact in
Hmm.
Italian horror.
Yeah, yeah.
This has a little bit of that too, but famously, it inspired a lot of the filmmaking styles of the Godfather series, and you see that there's a part where there's like leaves blowing up from the bottom of the scene. That's like, I mean, Francis Ford Coppola literally like redid that in
That
Godfather
shot was
2.
that shot was awesome. I told you
Yeah,
before we started this segment, I didn't get all the way through the movie, but I did see that, and I was like, "Holy shit, that shot was cool."
yeah, and it inspired other stuff too. And this is like a cool like slipcover too, by the way. Um,
Yeah.
And I don't really know what this is. Like it says Kino Lorber on the back, but it also says this Raro, like Raro. It says Cinema Art Visions. I don't really know what their tie-in is, but and here's something that maybe you'll explain to me that I don't really fully understand. I actually see this on Kino like a lot, where it's a Blu-ray, but it says like 4K restoration. Uh, Do
Yeah.
you understand that?
So I think what that means is they scanned the negative or the film like in 4K, so they'll probably end up putting a 4K out of it eventually, but they just put it on a Blu-ray. That's usually what that means. If it says 4K scan, 4K transfer or 4K restoration, is that what it says?
Yeah, 4K restoration.
Yeah. So that means they scanned it and then like did whatever color correction or whatever they did, made whatever fixes to, scratches on the film or whatever in
Yeah.
4K, but they just put it on a Blu-ray, so it's still regular 1080p high definition, to my knowledge at least. Yeah.
See.
Um,
That's why we have you on this show because I cannot talk intellectually about those things, and honestly, I can't really talk all that intellectually about the content of this film at this point. I At some point I'll probably rewatch it and dig deeper into it. It is like it's kind of tough at times. It's dark. I mean, a lot of the lighting is very dark too, which is obviously you see that in the Godfather films as well. But the content is dark. The characters are very cold.
mhm.
Um, and there is a bit of brutal violence in it as well. Actually, parts of it towards the end inspired the Sopranos episode, the Pine Barrens one, where they're out in the like woods.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's some of that
With
too.
Christopher and Paulie?
Yeah, and Steve Buscemi, I guess, directed that episode.
Oh, okay.
He directed episodes of The Sopranos because he had directed some movies, like Trees Lounge is one of them, and David Chase was like a really big fan of Steve Buscemi's movies, like the ones that he directed.
Huh.
So
That's
he,
cool.
Steve Buscemi is later on The Sopranos as an actor in like season 5 or something, but he directed some of the episodes early on, and it's because David Chase was a fan of his movies, like the ones that he directed, which is
Huh.
really interesting because I don't think they're not very acclaimed movies.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people think they're horrible or anything, but they're just not that
Yeah.
widely discussed.
Yeah.
Um, so I always thought that was pretty interesting, and I know that really doesn't have anything to do with the conformist, but I think this is probably as far as I can take this discussion at this point. Other than like, I think you should probably watch the whole thing. I did like it. I did give it a good rating. Um, it is really cool to take in all of the camera
Yeah.
work, and you understand why it inspired
Yeah.
other
I only
work.
got like 20 minutes or so in. Like I said, I was kind of distracted and it is in Italian, right? So
Yeah,
I wasn't able to get all the way through it before we recorded this episode, but from what I saw, I definitely do want to finish it. I just need to be in a setting where I can actually focus on the movie and not my
totally.
kid.
And the end is like rough on like an ethical basis. Like,
Okay.
it's not like so violent or anything that you're like, well, but it's like, you know,
I
ethically
mean,
you're like,
quick
wow.
summary of what the movie's about though. It's about a guy who gets talked into becoming an assassin, right?
Yeah. He's reluctantly going along with being an assassin.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like falls in love with the woman of the guy who's supposed to kill him, who was also like one of his former like teachers or something.
Yeah, when I was reading the IMDb description before I put it on, I was like, this sounds awesome. Like, I'm definitely down to watch this.
Oh, for sure, and it's definitely worth a watch. And like I said, it's from 1970. It has a 70s feel, of course,
Yeah.
and I will definitely watch it again at some point. And
Mhm.
you and me should probably have a further discussion on it at some point. But it's definitely of the blind buys, still in shrink wrap ones that I've picked. Like I said, less to talk about, but the one that I went with, that I almost went with beforehand, was when I watched Fellini's Casanova, and I was like, I'm not really into this. And I know Fellini's like one of the more respected directors, but I was not vibing that much with his Casanova. This was a much better pick.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'll definitely finish it at some point and we can reconvene.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, moving on, I picked Boiling Point, which I have this really cool umbrella release of it.
Yeah.
Um, and this was a blind buy. I'd never seen it before, but I looked up. I was perusing the Umbrella website because one of my buddies does in our group chat will often do like group buys because Umbrella is based where like in Australia or something, I think.
Okay.
So shipping is like insane.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was just like, oh, this looks like a sweet like thriller movie. It's got, a really good cast: Dennis Hopper, Wesley Snipes,
Viggo
um,
Mortensen,
Viggo Mortensen, and it
Mike from
just
Breaking Bad.
yeah, it like I feel like this movie like has all the elements to be a super cool movie, but it just ended up falling pretty flat for me. And
I totally agree with you, man. Now, when you held up that slipcover, though, I was like, yes, that slipcover would draw me in. By the
I
way,
know, I mean, you see Vigo on the front, and
does that actually look like the movie feels?
no, and I was waiting for this point to happen in the movie, and I think when it happens, Vigo doesn't even say "f you." It's like the guy that he's shooting or something. It's like a
Yeah.
mob guy or something, I think.
Now, when I was trying to find it, I was searching to see if it was streaming, and I was like, "Oh, Boiling Point. It looks like it's on streaming on several things, but turns out it's like other Boiling Points,
Yeah, there's
not
there's multiple other boiling points.
not that one." But I first thought it was on Tubi, and I will tell you, when I did finally start watching it, not on, not for free, not streaming, I did rent it, but it was on sale. It was on sale for $3.79 as opposed to its normal $3.99. So save
Okay.
20 cents on this one,
Yeah.
kid.
Well,
Yeah, it was a big win for me. But when I did start watching it, I think I've talked before, at least to you, maybe not on the show, about I do have a certain affinity for Tubi treasures. I find a lot of like knockoff genre movies on Tubi that I love. Like I give them all like 3 stars,
uh-huh.
because they're like not that great. But you can find a lot of like Basic Instinct wannabes. You can find a lot of just crime movies from like the 70s and 80s and even the 90s that are like B level, but they're
Mhm.
like super fun. And this was like when I jumped into this, I was like, yeah, I'm loving. Even like there's a part later in the movie where Seymour Castle's in it and he's wearing like a brown leather jacket and like a floral print like shirt underneath, and I'm like, I need to dress like that. And like,
You
yeah,
can count we can always count on Matt to bring up the fashion of the movie.
that's right. But I was kind of like you said, let down by what ends up happening. You're just sort of like, it just doesn't really feel like there's that much of a
Yeah.
story to it.
It even has these I feel like it has these really cool like ideas that it plays with. Like there's a lot of similarities between Dennis Hopper's character and Wesley Snipes' character, like the things
Yeah,
that they're going through and the fact that they're both hooking up with the same prostitute and
right.
like they're crossing paths and having conversations that are very similar like with their significant others and stuff, and like it almost feels it was I was thinking of The Departed when I was watching
Yeah,
it. It's very different, obviously. It's not like, the undercover aspect or whatever, but
I know what you're saying though.
there's that
Um,
like mirroring between like the good guys and the bad guys, which is a cool idea, but the
yeah,
movie just sucks. I
it
don't know
just
how to
feels like,
explain it. It's
I
like
don't know. It
it's
runs
not
out of
the
gas.
acting. Like I don't think
No,
the acting's bad. It's like the script
same.
and the directing and the editing that make it weird, I think.
It just sort of falls flat. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. I really like the stuff in the beginning when they were doing like the juxtaposition of each male
Hmm.
character with their love interests because they do
Yeah, and
those
it's
scenes like
cutting
back
in
to back to
between
back.
it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like they're all having the same conversation, but it's like, the different characters are going through the similar thing or whatever, yeah.
And I
But
love the Dennis Hopper stuff with his woman. Like, I don't know if it's supposed
yeah,
to be his wife. I can't remember if it's his
yeah.
wife or his ex-wife or
It's like I don't know if they're supposed to be married, but yeah, he's basically just like manipulating her and Vigo's character. Like he's kind of like a swindler, but
yeah.
I don't know. He was an interesting character too. Like he's not he seemed very slimy. Like I don't know. Normally I feel like Dennis Hopper plays this very like masculine character, and I feel like
Uh-huh.
he wasn't that much. He was
Yeah,
using ego throughout the movie to
that's
do
right.
all the stuff for him. Like,
Yeah, he certainly didn't want to use a gun or anything.
yeah, yeah,
So he was more of like the brains behind the operation type con man.
hmm,
But yes, I did love the stuff with the relationships. I don't know that did actually stand apart for me in a positive way about this
uh
movie.
huh, yeah,
So
yeah,
there's something there, but just the overall experience like falls flat. I don't know.
yeah. And I guess the director James B. Harris, this was his last movie. Not really surprised.
People were like, "Yeah, no thanks."
Yeah, and also one funny thing too. Did you? I don't know if this epilogue took place after the credits or what, but when I was looking into it, apparently there's an epilogue. I didn't put it back in to watch it, but it must have happened after the credits or something, or maybe I just was so checked out by the end of the movie that I missed it. But
Where
appar-
it just puts words on the screen,
I don't know.
or
I read. I think it was on the Wikipedia. It says there's an epilogue where it shows that Jimmy and Vicky, Wesley Snipes' character, and the prostitute moved to Newark
yes,
together, and it shows.
I did see it.
You does that happen before the credits or?
I think on the streaming version it did. Yeah,
Okay,
it
I
just
must.
pops up.
Maybe
It's
I
just
was
the
so
words.
checked out.
It's just the words on the screen though. Like you
Oh,
don't, it's not a
okay.
scene. It just tells you, and you're kind of like, "What?" It feels like it was
Okay.
better that's not the situation because they have this whole kind of defining scene where she's basically willing to, go with him, but he's like,
Yeah.
the one place he won't go is Newark, which I understand because Newark Airport is the worst airport in America.
Yeah.
I'll be on record saying that. I'm very
There,
comfortable with that.
there was zero chemistry between them too, I felt like as well.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I actually liked her way more with the Dennis Hopper stuff. Like when he takes her
yeah.
dancing and stuff, that was awesome.
Yeah, he was like smooth talking her and stuff. Like, and that was kind of a funny thing about his character too. Like, I think they go on a couple dates before he even like goes to bed with her, right?
That's
And
right.
he's like paying to just go on these dates and have like this emotional thing with him. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I
know.
get it. Sounds like me.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I just thought the movie fell flat, though. I really don't even know how to describe why either. Like I said, I don't think it's really the performances because they're
Yeah.
all
No,
great
same.
actors. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Now that being
And
said, I would watch it again.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
I don't know.
it,
If you want this, maybe I'll send it to you.
oh, come on, you got to keep that. That it's worth it like for the
It is
display
really
alone.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to buy it now that I've seen the movie, but
Yeah. I
although
have,
I definitely own worse ones.
dude, we didn't talk about these in the intro, but let me just show you real quick because I got a couple other
Yeah, please.
umbrella things
Please, please.
before we end this segment. Dude,
Yeah.
check this out. I got Tank Girl.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I know I haven't seen it since like high school either, but
Yeah.
I love umbrellas like hard boxes,
Yeah.
chunky
Well,
box.
that's why I like Cinematograph too. I like their hard boxes. The thing that I don't like is they have the wraparound things on the bottom, and I'm like, what do I do with this? Like,
Yeah.
there's too much critical info on it to throw it away, so I end up just like putting it back on and storing it.
Uh-huh.
But it's just not practical. I don't
Yeah.
like.
Dude,
Can we not come up with a more practical way, people?
let me show you the
Yeah.
other one I
What
got
else you
real
got
quick
over
though,
there?
just because it's funny. The Charlie Band Full Moon Fright Box set. It comes
It's amazing.
Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, a bunch of ridiculous movies. I was
Yeah.
watching Doll Man. I was watching it on Tubi while my mom was here, and she was just
See?
cracking up because it's literally just about this dude from like another planet, and he comes and he's like this badass, but he's like tiny. Like on his planet, he's normal, but on Earth, he's tiny.
That
And
sounds like another to be treasure,
yeah,
Keith.
the effects are ridiculous. I don't know.
So I
Anyways,
mentioned putting in a Diabolic DVD order. Though remember when I was talking about the tariffs? By the way, I'm getting
yeah.
like refunded for the tariffs or whatever, so rejoice. Um, you
From
know,
who? Was that from Orbit or something you
I thought
said?
it was
Or
I thought
Diabolic?
Diabolic, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but I said that I got a different copy of House of the Devil, but they sent me the Second Sight one anyway. So
Oh, dude, I'll buy that off you if you don't want to
w-
return it.
no, I was gonna keep it. Was the
Oh,
plan because I need to upgrade to a I need to get a region free player.
oh,
And
right, right, yeah.
this is what's pushing me over the edge
Dude,
to get one.
you might
But
not
this is
have to.
cheap.
I think I've heard that that's one of the few that says it's not region free, but I think I've heard people say it is. I could be wrong about that, but
But as my friend, don't you encourage me to get one anyway?
I do. Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you. Because I think I'm gonna get one this summer. Because I wanted to upgrade my 4K player anyway. If I
yeah,
can get a all-in-one better 4K player that's also region-free
hmm
Blu-ray, that would
yeah,
be um, a dream for me.
yeah. I know there's some really nice ones out there. You can spend a lot of money on those, but I got
Yeah,
a cheapo one. I've got probably the cheapest one, but it seems to be working fine. It only does Blu-rays though.
I don't have a great setup overall. I mean, we have a nice TV in the living room, but I don't even have a sound bar or anything.
Yeah,
So I
we'll
don't know.
change that. We'll
Yeah,
change
I'm
that.
saving myself. At some point, I'll get a full. I don't like we've discussed. I don't have the full. I mean, when I look at all these physical media people, like the people you're friends with,
Hmm.
they all have like really cool. They're straight out of, brain scan bedrooms, like where it's like
Yeah.
really cool setups with everything on display, and I'm sure they have like great situations for, the audio and visual element of movies. I'm slumming it with just a flat screen. But yeah, so I was kind of like, well, this isn't the one I ordered, but I guess it was meant to be, Keith. I
Well,
do
that
love
one's
House of
cool.
the
Were you
Devil.
hoping to get the umbrella version? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. They just had another one available that was all
Okay.
region, and it was just a more basic Blu-ray. It might have been Umbrella. I can't
Oh,
remember
okay.
now.
Well, I
I
like the packaging on Second Sights more anyways, so
Oh, for sure. I mean, I always thought this one was better. If it
yeah.
was, you know, I'm not region free over here.
Yeah.
So
I need to get that myself. I just watched that movie. I think I saw it back in the day on Netflix, but I didn't really remember it. So I watched the Joe Bob Briggs version of it on
oh,
Shudder,
hell yeah.
and it was awesome. Like he loves that movie too. He like was really talking it up in his little, interludes
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
haven't watched his version, but I think I told you before. I mean, I saw it streaming on Netflix in sort of the early days because I think it was like a 2010 movie or something. I mean, it
Yeah.
was around that time, and it was like the first movie that I saw that was trying to like look like 70s, 80s horror
Yeah.
with like,
I vaguely remember watching it like at Chad's house or something, Chad and Brockway's old place
oh
on
yeah,
Netflix back then. Yeah.
how about that?
Yeah.
How about that for a
Those were
memory?
good
I
times.
brought one more thing to show. When I was in Chicago, Lindsay and I will frequent like, whatever, small local bookstores, and we'll usually buy books from them just to help support those types of places because, we're good people like that. And,
And you know how to
damn
read.
damn the man. Yeah, although I am a slow reader. I'll read like two chapters and put something down for like years.
Yeah.
But I did pick up the Thomas Pynchon Vineland. This is the book that Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie is based off of. He uses a different title.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but I'm not going to read it yet because I'm one of these people that's like, there's a lot of people out there that's like, oh, the book's better than the movie. And I'm always like, yeah, of course. I mean, you have so much more to work with. But like for me, part of experiencing a movie is not knowing what happened. So I will not be reading this before the movie, but I
Yeah.
read it um, after the fact. But I
Especially
don't
with
like,
PTA.
yeah,
I feel like PTA's movies are like an event for you. I mean,
yeah,
kind of
for
for me
sure.
too, but
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
definitely a bigger fan than I am, but
Well,
yeah.
we saw Inherent Vice together, that's another Thomas Pynchon novel
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
based off. So yes, but like I read No Country for Old Men, but after I saw the movie, like I don't want to like anything that has any degree of like suspense in it. I definitely don't want to know what's going to happen because then it makes
Yeah.
the suspense less effective.
Yeah. That trailer looks awesome too. I have no idea what it's about, and
I
I
know.
almost don't want to watch any more trailers if they put any more out. I kind of just
Yeah,
want to see that movie when it comes out.
that's where I'm at too. So all right, that's it.
Well,
We both had to catch up a little bit for
all right.
things that we
Yeah.
didn't get in the opening
That
segment.
was that was the second intro. All right, Matt, it's time to do our spotlight for this episode, which we chose Star Wars Rogue One. Take it away.
That's right, Keith. In 2012, shockwaves hit the entertainment world as news dropped that George Lucas would be selling the Star Wars franchise to Disney, relinquishing both his ownership and creative control. The following years would take us through the ups and downs of new voices contributing their entries to the renowned sci fi universe. We've seen both films and original series, along with major announcements and several scrapped projects. Of course, the continuation of the Skywalker saga with a new trilogy would headline the list of projects, but pretty early on, the idea of what would become known as Rogue One would start garnering excitement. A simple premise of the story began to be discussed amongst fans. A film taking place just before A New Hope that follows the small group of rebels responsible for stealing the architectural plans of the dreaded weapon of mass destruction, the Death Star. This, of course, would be the catalyst for the events leading into the original Star Wars movie. It didn't take much to rope me in. After the prequel trilogy and an elongated break from the franchise, a return to the roots was a welcome one. But it was more than that. I started envisioning a film that took a smaller scale approach, and that really enticed me. Would it be like the Black Hawk Down of the Star Wars universe? A more war style film that follows a small group of special forces in our beloved Rebel Alliance? I really started to build my hopes for the movie around that idea. As the release date got closer and fans got their first view of the trailers, it was clear that it was going to have a dark tone. At the helm was director Gareth Edwards, who had catapulted to critical acclaim with his 2010 indie sci-fi horror film Monsters. He would then also see big box office success with his version of Godzilla in 2014, and the next would be Rogue One in 2016. If I wasn't hooked from the earlier hype, those trailers had me. The look immediately evoked feelings from the original trilogy, weaving the classic used future look into a more modernized, slick color palette. The cast was mostly unrecognizable to me, which I think was by design. Diego Luna, who would feature as Cassian Andor, and would go on to have a successful series as the character on Disney Plus, which I think is still going on right now. I had seen E2 Mama Tambien by that point in my life, but I'd be lying if I told you I immediately placed him from that. I did, however, recognize Ben Mendelsohn as the Imperial villain. Boy, do I love Ben Mendelsohn, but even more so when he's the villain. They got that right, and that was enough for me. Felicity Jones would play the lead role of Jyn Erso. I had admittedly had not seen much of her work to that point, but could tell from the trailers that she was well cast. Perhaps what made Rogue One interesting at the time, and still to this day, is it started examining the edges of a story that we had all always known as a simple good versus evil. We would now take a closer look at the harsher realities of a political rebellion. The film includes Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera, whose methods would be considered far too radical for his rebel brethren in the Alliance. There's also quite a bit of stone cold killing, as Edwards fulfilled his vision in bringing the moral complexity of combat to the magical cinematic world of Star Wars. Since Disney has taken over, Star Wars has certainly had its fair share of misses with the films, but has regained momentum the past several years with the original series. With many new projects on the horizon, I'll always leave the door open and be willing to give them a shot, but I consider Rogue One to be one of the defining entries of the post-Lucas era and my personal favorite from the period. Okay, Keith, so this is a movie that we actually do have some history with together, which is, rare since we haven't lived in the same town together in, I don't know, 20 years now almost. So these moments of us having shared moments of movies is pretty rare. I saw this in the theater. I'm sure you saw this in the theater
Hmm.
too, but we did have a physical media experience with the movie together.
Yeah. So like you said, yeah, I saw this in the theater. My theater experience was pretty cool with this too. Just real quick, so
Yeah.
me and Chris actually saw it. It was one of the first movies I think that we saw at this really cool theater. I can't remember the name of it, but it was on that really famous street in Ybor City in
Oh yeah.
Tampa. Yeah, so like I want to say we went out and like had some drinks, and it might have been the movie where we saw Steve-O like sitting outside at this bar while we were
How
like having
fun.
drinks before we went to see the movie. But anyway, so that was cool. But then uh, fast forward like a year or something, we're all in the San Juan Islands, and we went to the grocery store, and I had to buy it because I think it came out like the day or while we were on vacation together in Washington.
Now, when you say we were in the grocery store, this wasn't. Did you buy it in the grocery? Because we did go to the grocery store that was actually on the island we were on.
I'm pretty
Was
sure I bought it on the island and then we watched it in the
wow.
Airbnb. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually don't remember watching it in the Airbnb. I believe you that we did, but my memory of it was us sitting in the back of a car waiting to load the car onto the ferry to take us back to the mainland, America,
Yeah.
the continental U.S., not, the San Juan Island out there. But you and I sat there because it takes however long to board, and we watched it together on your
Yeah.
phone.
I think I might have I like this movie so much. I mean, I still really like this movie,
Yeah.
but I was so hyped on it when we saw it in the theater and afterwards obviously that I think I might have bought it like on iTunes or something, and that's probably how we were watching it on my phone.
Oh, I was thinking that you just had like the digital copy from
Well,
buying the
I
movie.
mean, yeah, I bought it probably on iTunes, and then I think I bought it again on here, or maybe I don't remember, dude. Is
Yeah, I
there
know
even
it's
a?
it's tough.
It doesn't matter, but yeah,
Quick,
I don't think there's a digital code with this one. I think I bought it twice, once on my phone and once for the
well,
Blu-ray. That's how much I like the
yeah.
movie.
I wish I could say that I've never bought a movie twice, but it happens far too frequently. Uh, quick sidebar from that trip, a very memorable physical media experience for me from the place we stayed at on, I think it was Lopez Island was the island we were on, but
Uh-huh.
the people who owned that place had a VHS collection.
Yeah.
Do
Didn't
you
we watch
remember?
Top Gun too?
Yeah.
Yes, we watched Top Gun too.
Oh, we watched Top Gun, yeah, and it was awesome. And it's like, having a friend like Eric Burton to watch, like that's like the type of person that you want to watch Top Gun with.
Yeah.
Like
He's
I
another person that we got to try to get on the show eventually when we start having guests.
I know.
Burton will fit in.
I need him to come on and talk about that Kiss movie that I was talking about. Um, but man, I do love the original Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick was really great too, and it was a nice sort of moment with the theater and everything. The theater is, it's still hanging around, and I feel like it's making a little bit of a comeback. I don't want to
Mhm.
speak too soon, but I feel like it might be happening. Maybe I'm trying to will that in, but the original Top Gun is such a fun movie to watch. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
these guys just playing beach volleyball. I mean,
Yeah.
all right. So heading into this movie, I mean, it was decided that there was going to be no opening crawl. And it
Mhm.
was a big topic of discussion. My reaction was like, well, who cares?
Yeah. Interesting choice, but it doesn't bother me either way. You do get the cool like after the cold open, you get the space scene where it just says Rogue One
Yeah.
before it really gets into the movie. I think it's after all the stuff at the very beginning with Jin or so and all that,
Yeah.
right? I think it pops up right after that.
So I had said this to you, and I don't know if you fully feel this way or not, but I am like pretty locked in that this is my favorite post Lucas movie.
I'm there with you. Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
do really like The Force
I
Awakens
agree.
too,
That's the next
but
one.
the the more time goes on, the more this probably has been my favorite out of the newer, Disney versions or whatever for a while, but yeah,
So
I agree.
so I put The Force Awakens on earlier, and a couple things jumped out to me. I also actually watched A New Hope because I wanted to see like how well this led into A New Hope, and
I feel
it
like it's
does.
almost perfect with the way this this one ends with Darth
Yeah,
Vader, you know, and them passing off the codes or whatever. I feel
yeah,
I've never actually done that, and I really want to now. Like
yeah,
watch them in succession back to back.
yep. Well, I did it now, and you are like, yeah, this works. Something that I have to talk about, Keith. I I'm okay with a lot of the things that people criticize Star Wars about, and I guess we should just get this out of the way. Neither you or me are the crazy Star Wars experts that I have not seen all of the series on Disney Plus. You know, I've watched
No.
some of the Mandalorian. I've I have not I haven't watched like the Clone Wars animated series. I've seen
Yeah.
all the movies, okay? Like so that's just not the level of fans we are, okay? I mean,
I mean, I have a tattoo, but
yeah, well,
but I like you said, I have not watched. I've actually heard the Andor show is really good,
yeah,
and
people
I
seem to
like
really like it.
Cassian as a character, and it's cool how dark they went with him in this movie. Like
Mhm.
he's like an assassin kind of,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I've heard it's really good. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
Same here. Same here. So, but that I think that just shows you to make it clear to people the level of fans we are. We're not that crazy. You know,
Yeah,
I would say, I consider myself a casual Star Wars fan.
yeah, same. Yeah,
So I just have to tell you something though. Like, I know that people really rip the prequel series, and I'm not like a staunch defender of them or anything, but like, most of the things that happen in them, I'm okay to just go along with. Whatever. Like, it doesn't get me that worked up. But the one thing that I really wish that Lucas had decided not to do is include C3PO and R2D2 in the prequel movies.
yeah,
Like, it just like when you go watch A New Hope after like watching those, and you know that Obi-Wan is so involved with those two for like seemingly many years, and then he
yeah.
has
It makes
like
no sense.
no reaction to being back around them.
Yeah. I
I
mean, they
hate
might
that.
like write it off by saying their memories were wiped or something at some point, but
Well, they
I
do
don't
say,
remember.
yeah, they do say C3PO's memory is wiped, but Obi-Wan though, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, true, yeah, yeah.
Like especially the R2D2 element of it. Now I know he doesn't like speak, so that but I mean, he's such a big character in those prequel movies.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just wish they would have decided not to do that. That's the one thing for me. I know people have a
Yeah,
bunch of things to nitpick and go after, but that's the
yeah,
only one that really bothers me.
yeah. While we're on picky nits,
Go ahead.
one thing I put down was I feel like at the time this didn't bother me, but on this rewatch, for some reason, this kind of got to me was the whole Peter Cushing, Grand Moff Tarkin situation
I have
where
this on the list too. I have this on the list
they
too.
re
'Cause-
you know, they
yeah,
did the digital version of him and they did Carrie Fisher as well at the end of the movie.
I think she
Whereas,
worked better.
yeah, hers is definitely better. And I think the reason is probably because she doesn't have as much to do. She's kind of just standing there and might have like one quick line.
Yep,
But the Peter Cushing character, it has that kind of uncanny valley look to it now, you know.
I
It's
know.
kind of off-putting to watch.
I don't love it. I would have been totally fine with them just casting someone that kind of looked like him.
Yeah.
I mean, this was of that era where, you know, it was kind of being floated around that, and, you know, obviously we're going through a different version of this with AI now, but can you remember, like, I don't know, they did like a hologram of Tupac performing at Coachella or whatever, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, this is the future. This is what it's going to be. People are going to go to arenas and see like holograms of the Beatles playing. It's like, okay, well, it's been 10 years and I don't see that happening. So,
Yeah.
like, because it's not that cool. No one really, people
And
would rather have the real thing. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I mean,
Like,
part of it too is like it's kind of morally a little
uh-huh.
gray too, because was Peter Cushing? I'm pretty sure he was passed away at this point, right?
I would think. Yeah. I mean, he seemed pretty old in A New Hope.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but I'm totally like, just cast someone that kind of looks like him. Who cares? When I
yeah,
saw this in the theater, the first like look of him, now they keep a lot of the lighting in the scenes that he's in dark. And
hmm.
like the first couple looks, I was like, damn, that looks good. I'm like,
I
that
know.
does look good.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like I remember not thinking it looked bad, and it might just be because at that time this came out what like 10 years ago now, was it?
2016, yeah.
Yeah, like at that time it was like a brand new thing, I think, and it was like holy shit, like this actually looks really good for what they're trying to do. but watching it now, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a part that I don't think holds up as well. Now, it doesn't take me out of the movie or anything.
No, yeah.
It's
It's
just not
it's
my
on the edge though. I kind of this time I was kind of annoyed. I was like, God, this kind of looks bad. I don't really like this.
I just want to circle back to what I was trying to get to, and I know I go off on a million tangents and then forget to finish my points, but I just wanted to say on the Force Awakens thing because we both are kind of in agreement that these two are the two better entries
Yeah.
in the Disney era, and I do think that the Force Awakens, when you watch it, you're like, this is better made. The quality is better. I mean, you can.
Hmm.
They're like, this is a just more well crafted movie. Things just look better. Things look more epic.
Hmm.
Um, but I just don't think I like. There's a lot of story in the Force Awakens that I think the story is better in this one.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like one of the coolest things about this movie is just the whole premise of it. Cause like I honestly don't remember. I think I knew what it was gonna be when like before the movie came out or whatever. They must
Uh-huh.
have talked about it in the trailer or whatever, but
Yeah.
there's like a line in A New Hope at some point where one of the generals, they're at like a meeting or something, and one of the generals says something like, uh, many rebel soldiers gave their lives for this. And that was like the hook for this whole movie was like, you're going to
Yeah.
get to see what they were talking about in that line. And that's like a very, I don't know, it was like dark. You're like, holy shit,
No,
they're
I
going to do like
know.
a dark Star Wars movie. That's awesome.
So I hit on it in the intro a little bit, but I'll tell you my that so that had me excited, and I was really picturing something like very small scale, like a group of spy soldiers for the rebellion, and it was going to be like very serious, and that they were going to be like doing some, secret mission and like eventually getting caught and killed during it, but getting the plans out. So I was picturing the whole thing to be kind of small scale, like small.
More like a spy thriller or
Yeah,
something.
so they do, and the movie ends with a big battle. And when I saw it in the theater, I was kind of like, "Eh, this isn't what
Yeah.
I wanted." I was like, I
Yeah.
think I actually thought it was cool to go away from that. Like
Yeah.
actually do like the smaller version of a story from this universe. Like I was like, that idea is
Yeah.
cool, but I don't know. I said that to some people around the time, and they're like, "Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a Star Wars movie." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't know.
I totally agree, but I do think that the way they do it was pretty cool. Like
It doesn't
it
bother me
wasn't
now."
like it
Yeah,
wasn't like a massive battle, and I did like the setting, how it's like this island planet or whatever,
yeah,
where it's like one of those things where that's one of the cool things about Star Wars is they show you all these like different weird planets and stuff, and I
hmm
thought this was a cool, unique one that we hadn't seen before in a Star Wars movie.
I agree. And you kind of run out of possibilities at a certain
Yeah,
point.
I mean, yeah, like Hoth is probably the coolest one from
Yeah.
Empire.
Well, as we find out, there's actually multiple like desert ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you
They go
think
back
in
to
the
the
Force
desert setting too much, I think.
yeah. Well, because you think in the Force Awakens, you're like, oh, it's Tatooine again. And it's like, no, it's Jakku or whatever. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But it
There's
looks
multiple.
exactly like
I didn't
Tatooine,
know.
yeah.
How many planets are in this galaxy?
Yeah.
Um, but if it wasn't clear to viewers, listeners, whoever, I'm not exactly going to go through the plot beat by beat like we tend to in some episodes. I'd rather we will talk about stuff from the plot, but there's enough to talk about in this movie, and there is actually a lot of plot to it, and I felt like it would kind of be a little bit of a drag
Yeah.
to go through it beat by
I mean, we
beat.
can give like a quick summary. Basically, it's just Jyn Erso is the daughter of a guy who was working on the Death Star. He's like the head engineer or something.
Yeah,
And at the beginning of the movie, he's trying to just live a quiet life, and he gets taken back basically, and Jin becomes a rebel fighter, and then
yeah,
the whole thing is just they're trying to get back to him to to get these plans or whatever, right? I mean, that's the quick five
yeah,
minute
for sure. And
rundown
the
of
I
it.
guess the complex part of it is you're meeting a guy who's building this weapon of mass destruction that's literally going to blow up planets,
Hmm.
and he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is the whole where we start getting into like the complexity of good and evil. I mean, this is not a bad guy. It's Galen Erso played by Mads Mikkelsen, which was kind of fun casting at the time.
I
Him
love
and
him. By the way,
yeah,
he needs to get more credit. Like he's in a lot of like big stuff. Like he was the bad guy in what was it? The new the first 007 of the new ones, right?
yeah. I can't remember the name now. Was it Casino Royale?
Yeah, Casino Royale. I don't remember his character's name, but he was awesome in that.
Yeah.
Um, there's another foreign movie that we should talk about at some point called Another Round that I
I
loved that came out a couple years ago.
yeah, I did watch that. I saw that you really liked it. I liked it too, but I saw that you really liked it, and it made me be like, I should watch that again.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it again since but I
yeah.
saw when you logged it, it made me be like, oh, I should watch that again because I was like solid on it, you know what I mean? But then I saw you gave it like a pretty good review, and I was like, you know what, I should give that an so it's on the list to revisit at some point.
Basically, I just think he's an underrated actor. I don't know how well he fits as like a leading man though, because other than that Another Round movie, I can't really think of another leading man role he's
Yeah.
had, but I like him.
He's definitely a fun character actor for sure. And you know who else is a fun character actor? The guy who is against him,
Yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn. I
Uh-huh.
love me some Ben Mendelsohn.
He is a
I think
very
he is,
good villain.
yes, he's so. I mean, obviously, he's also a villain in The Dark Knight Rises.
Mhm.
You know, in a movie that has a lot of villains, but he's one of them, and he's good in that. I love him in The Place Beyond the Pines as that.
Isn't he
Like,
in Killing Them Softly too? I'm looking at his IMDb real quick.
I do
But I
think
think
he's in
he's
that. I only ever watched that one time, so I can't remember, but it feels
yeah,
like a
he
movie he
is.
would be in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was in that Animal Kingdom movie too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
I
see
don't know if
that.
you
He has a ton of credits because he's another character actor.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's one of my favorites. Like he's one of my favorite character actors, I'll say
Hmm.
that. And I think he's like perfect for this role in this. Like you want like I'll tell you this. I think he is so much better than Dom Hall Gleason as Locks or whatever. What I can't remember the character that he plays in the trilogy, but like, give me Ben Mendelsohn
Yeah.
as your like imperial dick, like just
Yeah.
like he is.
He's
I
just
think,
ruthless. Like
yeah,
from the very beginning where you see him like basically talking to Urso, just like tell him he's gonna like kill his wife and kid and stuff. Like he's
yeah.
so evil.
Well, to be fair, he was willing to bring all three of them, but
That's true. Yeah, I guess he wasn't really threatening. Yeah.
it is I like his delivery, like that opening scene is a great scene in the movie because you have two great character actors kind of going toe to toe with each other.
Hmm.
But I think one of Ben Mendelsohn's best like delivery moments is Galen Orso's explaining, well, my wife, I think it's Lyra, she's passed away, and they
Yeah.
have this little back and
He's
forth
like, oh,
about
she
that.
came back from the dead, right?
Yeah. Oh, Lyra, back from the dead.
Yeah.
So good to see you. I love that opening sequence, but that's what sets everything in motion. It also introduces us to Forrest Whitaker playing this Saw Gerrera character, which is another point that I wanted to write down because I feel like the first person that actually told me that that was a character from, I think the Clone Wars animated series was Brockway, actually, who you mentioned earlier. He was like, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, that's a character from the show. It's so weird that they put him in this."
I
Um,
actually didn't even know that.
yeah, well, I wouldn't know it if one person didn't tell me it, but yeah. So apparently, he was a character from the cartoon, and they made the decision to include him in this. But I think it makes sense because of at least from what I know about this character, which is only from this movie. But the rebels, it's basically this idea that the Rebel Alliance have like separated themselves from this guy because he is a rebel and he's anti the Empire, but he's kind of like crazy and marches to the
his
beat of his own
Yeah,
drum.
his methods are a little more brutal than
Yeah,
they would like to
it,
be associated with.
yeah, it's
But
like the
dude,
idea of the militias or
yeah.
whatever.
I
Versus,
actually put him down as kind of one of my picky nits as well.
go ahead.
Because like I feel like his performance isn't bad, but his character is just kind of off and weird. Like he's
I kind of agree. I mean, the voice is a little much.
yeah.
It's
I,
also hard to get a read because we meet him once and he seems heroic in the first moment that you are seeing him because he's going to represent
yeah.
Jin's escape.
And then the next he's like torturing the uh Empire dude who like flies the
Yeah,
ships or whatever,
that's
right?
right. And he
Yeah.
basically has somehow abandoned the girl that he was supposed to be taking care of.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when
So
she comes when they meet again, I think she says something like she was only 16 and she says he abandoned her, but he says that it was
he did it to
because
protect her.
people were finding out who she was and they wanted to, which is kind of
Yeah,
another dark part about it, was like he was basically saying like people he was working with wanted to sell her to the empire or
that's
something.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense, but he comes off as cold the whole time.
Yeah. And the fact
Like,
that he like tortures that dude with the like weird octopus thing. Like,
so I wrote this down, Keith. Is that octopus thing straight out of Possession?
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
the oth-
oh, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about possession, and I don't want
oh,
to be thinking about
yeah, I
possession.
know. Let me get that out of your head. How about this, Keith? Saw Gerrera insert Frank Booth jokes. I mean, Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet, right? He does the
Oh
like
yeah.
the mask.
Oh,
Where's my bourbon?
now we're going to more places I don't actually want to be in my head.
Yeah, I won't do the daddy one. I know that one's
Baby
tough
wanna
for you.
fuck.
Yeah, but he does the thing. I'm like, is this? I mean, is this Frank Booth up here?
Yeah, yeah. He's also like half robot too, which is kind of cool. He's got like robot legs. I don't
Yeah.
know if you caught that.
Um. Yeah. I think I did, but I am glad that his part is relatively
Yeah.
minimal.
Okay, so this is another thing about him too, though. Is like, why does he just stay there? Like, it makes no sense. He's just like, they're all leaving, and Jin is like, come with us, and he's like, I've run too long or something, and then he just like he knows he's gonna die. I didn't
Yeah.
get that. I don't know.
Um. Yes. It does seem like we're picking on a lot of things, but there is
Yeah,
more to pick on too.
yeah,
So let's just get out of the way that we both like this movie a
yeah.
lot. But
We
this is
did. Let
gonna
us
pick on.
reiterate. We do really like this movie. We're just picking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. The whole so it seems like if you read about this movie, there was supposed to be like a Jin Cassian like romantic connection that they kind of decided to go away from and maybe like edit over and make changes on the fly to. And it is weird, and not to jump all the way to the end of the movie, but my memory was that they are kissing on the beach when the explosions coming
Oh
towards them,
yeah.
but
When
they're
they're
actually
yeah,
hugging.
yeah.
And
I don't know. I'm kind of glad. I didn't actually know that, and I'm glad that they didn't do that because they did that with the whole sequel trilogy
yeah,
with Rey and Kylo Ren, and I hated it. I was like, why do they why do they have to like love each other? This is stupid.
I don't know. Well, and I was good. I was kind of split on it because, but it feels like there's still like hints. Like, why does Cassian care so much about her?
Yeah, that's true.
I
Yeah.
can't tell. Like, they don't have a moment where it's like where it seems like it's becoming romantic, but he becomes very invested in her very quickly, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Now,
I wasn't really picking up any romantic vibes, but that might just
I
be
agree.
my
I do agree.
romance radar.
I agree. I agree. I like if they did have a romantic like connection at the end of the movie, I probably would have been like, "Well, where did this come from?"
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it does. You still, I guess what I'm trying to say is, Keith, you still see the remnants of that in there. I think,
Yeah.
like there's times where Cassian is going like out of his way to really be a full blown Jin supporter. Okay.
True. Yeah. I'll
Um.
look for it next time I watch the movie.
Yeah. Now, one thing that would complicate their romantic relationship is that Cassian was ordered to kill her dad.
Yeah.
Now he decided not to. They never talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He does not bring that up. It just so happens that Maud Mikkelsen, Galen Orso, gets blown up just after Cassian
Mhm.
was gonna,
Yeah.
snipe him.
This
And
whole plot of the movie too is so cool because it's like we talked about. It's like this is probably the darkest Star Wars movie or one of them,
yeah,
and that's just like a very dark subplot. Is like seeing the rebels plotting to assassinate this guy. Like
yeah,
you don't really see stuff like that in any of the other Star Wars movies that I can think of.
and that's the complicated element because he's not an evil guy. He's basically being held prisoner by the Empire and being forced to do this work. But it's like they just view him as too dangerous because the fact that he can do this work means that
Hmm.
he needs to be killed, and it doesn't matter if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And that is just for us Star Wars people, Keith. For us, like we grew up knowing who the good guys were and the bad guys were, and there was no
Yeah.
gray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I was kind of thinking about this when I was watching it too, and there kind of always has been this theme of like good and bad because like Darth Vader obviously starts
Sure,
good and then he turns evil, and then at the very end he,
yeah.
turns good again.
He switched
But
teams though.
yeah. Yeah, it was never like a murky like assassin type deal
Yeah,
going on.
he could feel the score changing, and he decided to change jerseys.
Yeah.
He's like, you know
Well,
what? I think Luke might overcome the Emperor. Let me change sides real quick. No, but well, I was going to say the closest thing we had to Gray in the original trilogy was Boba Fett, who was a bad guy, but we all thought he was so cool that we liked him.
I gotta say too, real quick, I started watching. I can't even remember what the names of the shows were now, but Boba Fett was one of them, and
Yeah.
that show stinks.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
I
Mandalorian. That's what the other one was. The first
yeah.
two seasons were like okay, and then it lost me in like the third season.
I liked season 1. I watched season 2. I don't even know if I tried season 3.
Yeah,
Um,
they lost me with that one.
but I think people do still like it because that is going to be one of the movies.
Yeah. Speaking of cool ass characters, though, can we touch on probably one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars,
Yeah, I think I know where you're
Chirrut.
going with this.
I
Who?
think that's how you pronounce his name, Chirrut, and
Jarrett, yeah.
Wen, the duo.
Yeah.
Dude, Chirrut is so cool. He's like a monk that's like sensitive to the Force, but he's not a Jedi, which I think is way cooler than being a Jedi.
Well,
Like,
they're introducing this idea that has now, because Ryan Johnson did a little bit of it in The Last Jedi, that like playing with these characters who are not a Jedi or a Skywalker or a Sith, that like these other people that are like at a minimum in touch with the Force and, at most able to use it and manipulate it in some way, but they're just not,
yeah,
a true craftsman at it.
yeah.
And I mean, if you are to buy that when he's going through his big sequence,
On the beach
and
at the very end when he's like
yes,
he's just walking out holding his staff, just saying what's his line? He's like, "I'm one with the Force is with me."
that's right. Yeah. And of course his protector friend,
Hmm.
um, which is it Baze?
Wen,
I
I
don't know.
think is his name. Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
they're a fun group. The group is fun. So
yeah.
I actually thought you were going to bring up somebody else, which is one of my favorite characters from this movie, and I think arguably maybe the best droid character, which would probably piss off a lot of people. But A2, the Imperial
Dude,
droid,
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wrote this down too in one of my notes. Like this movie overall, I feel like it has a more serious tone, but there are some funny like one-liners and stuff, and he definitely has like the best ones. Like
Yeah,
my favorite that I wrote down was there's a point when they're it's like after one of the battles or something, and he's trying to make it look like Cassian is his like prisoner or something, and he talks he talks back to him or something at one point, and what's his it K2SO smacks him beside the
yeah.
head. He said, "There's a fresh one if you open your mouth again," or something.
Well, and I
I was like,
love his whole like combative, like passive
yeah,
aggressive relationship that he has with Jin.
yeah. It's like this monotone. Yeah, I don't know. He was pretty funny.
He's of course voiced by Alan Tudyk, who has some other kind of sci-fi acclaim. He was the pilot dude in Firefly, the series, and of course the movie Serenity.
Hmm.
I don't know if you watch that stuff at all.
I did
It
not know.
it's almost like too nerd for me, but I do kind of like it. I actually kind of like the Serenity movie. I don't think it's great. I don't own it, but I kind of like it. So I'll put that out there. That's probably I don't have a lot of guilty pleasures because all my pleasures are just pleasures. Like I'm not really ashamed of any of them. But for some reason, and I think it's because I'm only like half a fan, but I do kind of like Firefly and the Serenity movie. There, I'll say it, Keith. How about
Sorry.
that?
Speaking of guilty pleasures, I just had to pour myself another Herman Bloom. Not sponsored. A&W. We need you though.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that anymore after that, horrific letter that they sent me. Um, One note that I passed over, but it's another thing that I don't feel great about with this movie. And this actually did kind of bother me in the theater. Um, so the score is not John Williams, but they use a lot of stuff from the old movies.
It's like remixed versions of a lot of
Yeah.
his stuff, which I
Yes.
think is cool. I
I
like
think
that
that
they did
stuff's
that.
fine. I think that stuff's fine. And I'm good with it. But the main theme, I'm not in love with. The dun 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 dun. I can't even do it. Like, yeah, I was almost gonna do like the regular theme, but like the main theme that from this movie.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna try to do it because I tried to do a theme
Yeah,
song last time and it was way off.
you got to go high with it. No, I don't know when you did the body double song. I was like, wow, that's really good. Do you remember that?
No. Too many Herman Blooms that episode, I think.
I have to say, I was, which by the way, I was talking to a friend of the show, Matt Manzo, yesterday, and he mentioned how he watched Body Double because we did it, and he was
Oh, hell
interested in
yeah.
it, and I was like, all right, look, we could end the show right now, and everything was worth it. If we got you to watch Body Double, like,
Hey.
I'm like, listen, man, Body Double's great. But I don't know, so that doesn't bother you, the main piece of music. I
No.
just don't think it's great. I don't think it quite fits.
That's okay.
Okay, you're good though.
I'm good though. Yeah, it's not offensive to me that you would find it like not great.
Just slightly off. Like
Yeah,
it feels like a little like it doesn't have the most natural fit to me.
yeah. I can see that. Yeah,
Okay,
it didn't
so
bother me though.
basically we end up with this fun band of characters though, and like I said in the intro, it's like the main group is mostly unrecognizable people. Like your leads are Diego Luna and Felicity Jones, and like at the time I was like, I don't know these people, you know.
I was in the
They
same boat. Yeah, I didn't know who
They
they
had
were.
both been in stuff, and like I said, I had seen E2 Mama Tommy in. Did not know that was like one of the kids.
Hmm.
Um, but we end up with this fun group. Of course, then we talked about in the pilot, Bodhi the pilot, and then Chira and his protector friend.
When? I think his
When
name's When.
I don't know, you keep saying that. I had wrote down like Bays. I mean, they don't call him by name a
Oh,
lot.
the actor's name is When. My bad. His name is
Okay,
Baze. Yeah, sorry.
okay, there we go. No
They
offense
don't say
to
his name very much in
yeah.
the movie. I don't think
That's
so.
what I mean. That's why Chirrut's gets mentioned by name like way more frequently
Yeah. Uh-huh.
because like Chirrut just always has to be like looked after basically, because he's always talking shit and being metaphorical and whatnot.
Well, he's also a
Um,
cool ass like blind swordsman or blind staffman.
but these guys become our little band of misfits that actually believe Jin because she now knows halfway through the movie after her dad dies that she knows his plan, that hey, I put something in the Death Star that like if the people know about it, they'll know how to attack it and they'll know how to blow it up.
Yeah, conveniently for the story, she gets to see like a hologram that he sent or something, right? That nobody else saw.
There is that, but then she also talks to him. Doesn't she talk to him before he dies, or is he dead?
She talks to him when he dies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but she goes to the Rebel Alliance and is like, "Hey, we really need to go get these plans," and they're kind of lukewarm on it. It's not a wave of support that they're giving Jin,
Yeah.
and so I think one of the like fun, like hope filling moments of the movie. I love when our little group they get a little wave of support from some of the rebels, and they're like, all right, let's just go do this. Let's go get these plans. And I love when our group is just in the ship together and they're looking for a call sign for the ship to give as they're trying to depart the rebel base, and the Bodhi dude is just like, Rogue One. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. That's great. Great
It is
moment.
cool. It is very cool. And yeah, that I feel like that whole scene when like Cassian brings like the other people like in to help Jin, that scene is really cool, and it's like it's not really like a tearjerker, but it's like him and his buddies like moment of being like, we've done a lot of bad things that we don't feel great about, being assassins and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is our opportunity to make good on that, and that's cool to me. I like that
Oh,
stuff.
I agree. I agree. And I not look. I mean, I know it's kind of silly, but the whole thing is this idea of. I mean, the next movie is literally A New Hope, and we end the movie with Leia talking about what this is. It's hope for the Alliance. But look, there's movie like The Shawshank Redemption is a movie about hope, and like sometimes that element in a movie is very powerful on me.
Yeah.
Like when executed appropriately, and I wouldn't say that you have that throughout this whole movie, but there's moments of it where I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, pulls at the heartstrings a little bit, and I love that part um, when they name the ship and name
Mhm.
their group, and
Yeah. And
that
just
leads us.
the fact that they all kind of know this is probably going to be like a suicide mission too is
Yeah, it doesn't
is
start
a
off
really
that
cool
way.
aspect of just like of the whole movie. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe they're hoping against hope a little bit in this case because it does seem like they do have a little bit of a plan, but I guess you're right that I mean it's going to be hard to overcome the odds here and really accomplish everything that they want to do, and
I mean,
definitely God.
do you remember the first time you saw it? Were you thinking they were going to make it out, or were you thinking like,
I
okay, we
assume
know that just from that line in A New Hope that the general says that I brought up earlier, like all these people gave their lives to like get the
yeah,
plans or whatever.
and
I think I went into it thinking that like, okay, these guys are all going to die.
yeah, I think so too, and I think that had kind of been the talk around the movie from
Yeah.
fans and whatnot. Not that I'm really in tune with that stuff, but you just
Yeah.
you pick up on these things, and
Yeah.
that was kind of the talk that that's what the movie was going to be. So yeah, not a huge surprise, but you're still like, this is a group that you want to root for. Like they're
Hmm.
it's a small group. We've only had a little small history together, but you want these
Yeah.
uh, people to overcome and accomplish their mission, but certainly comes with challenges, and that leads us to this big battle sequence that occurs. And like I said, this was not quite what I was picturing. I wasn't picturing a big um, fight in space and everything. I wasn't picturing a full-fledged battle that happens on ground. I mean, it does turn into a classic Star Wars battle sequence that also has like the spy element mixed in, because the three, Jin, Cassian, and the Imperial droid K2SO, is that what it is? K2SO?
K2SO, yeah.
I just wrote down
Yeah.
K2. Do they call him K2 for short?
They call him K2, yeah.
Yeah,
Can I say something real quick about the
please.
cool just like the cool eclectic group of like heroes too?
Absolutely.
Which I always think is really cool, and it's just like a fun fact is like I don't remember where I saw this, some special feature or some documentary at some point, but I did read somewhere that the movie Seven Samurai was like a huge inspiration on George Lucas and a lot of these kinds of movies
Oh,
because
cool. Yeah.
that was like Akira Kurosawa's like that was like one of the first times I guess that happened in movie media. I don't know, where they just have like this ragtag group of heroes that are like unsuspecting heroes at times, I don't
That's
know.
fun. I've still
But
never seen Seven Samurai, but I know it's a Criterion, and
yeah, I
it's
just
like,
always like to bring that movie up because it's awesome. And
yeah, well, it's
it was
that.
also heavy. Can I one more thing?
Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
It was also heavy inspiration on a movie that I requested you and Zach do that you did way back in the
Of
day,
course. Yeah,
13 Assassins. And
that's
that's
right.
also just a quick recommendation from me if you're into cool stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, all I was going to say on the Seven Samurai front is whenever you look at like Criterion list to buy, like that and the Seventh Seal are on like everybody's list.
Yeah, I
I've
want to say
seen
it's
these.
like Spine Number Two or something. It's like one of their biggest
Yeah.
titles for sure.
I need to get it at some point because yeah, it's always on like everybody's list of like must
Yeah.
own Criterion's.
They
So
just put a 4K out of it too, and
yeah.
I have the Blu-ray, but I kind of want to get the 4K.
So, we have the big battle sequence in the movie, and I'm not going to go through every piece of action or anything, but what's fun about it is having the three, K2, Jin, and Cassian make their way through this archive, the place where the Death Star architectural design plans or whatever are stored, and they're kind of, undercover, if you will. And the battle happens out on the beach, but then the Rebel Alliance shows up in space too, and everything that happens with the shield and having to be able to transmit the plans up, I think is pretty cool and pretty well done. Um,
That's like
like
your
I
big battle that you get that like every Disney movie needs now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what kind of turned me off to it the first time is because I didn't want that for this movie. I wanted it
Yeah,
to be like without that, but
yeah,
I do think it is a well done fight sequence.
yeah.
And
And dude, one other thing too, because you like to bring up fashion, I feel like they showed images or it was in the trailer or something of Jin in the like she's like in the I don't know the suit that she stole from some stormtrooper or something, but it's got the two
yeah,
like things sticking out. I was
it's
like, that is like the coolest thing. I don't know why you never saw a
no,
dude like that, but I just thought it looked so cool.
I agree. I agree that that looks cool.
Just a little
And should
fashion.
be pointed out. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, look, I'm not going to go beat by beat for this. And what it all builds to is a lot of emotional deaths. I mean, I know the Churret one is pretty rough. I also think K2 is rough.
Oh
You know?
yeah. They're all just sacrificing themselves left and right.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And it's the ultimate goal to get these plans transmitted to the Rebel fleet. And eventually, the Ben Mendelsohn character shows back up. He tries to thwart as R2 now, after K2's untimely passing.
Mhm.
Cassian and Jin are literally climbing up this thing trying to get the plans. She gets them, but then Krennic shows up, blasts Cassian a couple times, who falls pretty painfully.
Yeah.
You're not sure, if he's dead or alive, but they all go all the way up to the top of this tower. She tries to transmit the plans. Krennic shows up again, has her in the sights, and he's like, "Look, you didn't accomplish anything. You just wasted my time. Whatever. I'm gonna kill you now." And then, Cassian shows back up for the save, shoots Ben Mendelsohn, and they get the plans transmitted to the Rebel fleet. And you're like, "Hell yeah!" But one of the cool all time, in my opinion, CGI shots, because I never really think that they're cool. But when they show the Rebel fleet realizing that the Death Star is emerging, and there's like that shot that is just CGI, but it's like the Death Star on the horizon of the planet.
Oh yeah, that is really cool, yeah.
I think that looks awesome. And I rarely think a CGI scene looks awesome. I just rarely.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I think
that's
it,
one of the cool things about Gareth Edwards and all of his movies. I feel like he does rely a lot on the CGI because that's where he got his career started. I don't know if you like learned about that at all,
monsters.
but like
Yeah.
even his first movie, Monster, I guess, was made with a crew of like 5 people, and he did all the special effects himself. So like,
Yeah.
he has a really good like he's really in tune with the special effects, and like aside from the Peter Cushing stuff, I think all the CGI stuff and like just the look of this movie is great
Oh
overall, in
yeah,
my
I
opinion.
totally agree. And yeah, supposedly, I mean, I don't know what's gone on over time, but I remember when Monsters came out, the sort of folklore legend around it was that it only cost $10,000 to make, and you're like, what? Because it looks like pretty cool.
Yeah, I think in my I'm gonna have to look that up again, but
Yeah.
anyways, it doesn't matter. I what I saw was it cost them $500,000, but
Oh,
that
okay.
could be wrong too. I think that was just from
Well,
Google
look,
or
I'm
something.
going off of. I'm sure. Look. I'm going off memory, but I do have a very specific memory of it that was sort of like being talked about. But I'm saying like in 2010 that I heard that. You know what I mean? And a lot of these stories change over time, so I'm sure that it was more than that. But yeah, that part looks cool, and it's definitely the moment where it's like it doesn't really matter who had died in hand-to-hand combat or got blown up by a grenade or whatever, because guess what? The Death Star's about to take a blast at this planet, and it's gonna kill everyone in sight. And so the one thing that's stunning to me, Keith, is that Jin and Cassian make it all the way down to the beach in this time.
Yeah.
They're at the top of the tower.
What
They're
did they
like,
do? Freaking parachute down or something?
yeah, you may fire when ready. I was like, well, maybe there's an elevator.
No, you know what they did? They had Data's slinky.
Yeah, that's right. That is handy. Punches a pal. Yeah. Um, and we get one last shot of them on the beach, which I think is pretty sweet. You see, it's like them embracing each other, and they get engulfed by the flames as the Death Star is blowing up at least the immediate area. At this point, I don't think the Death Star blows up the planet, right? The Death Star doesn't blow up a planet until A New Hope, but
No,
I
I
think it
think
just
you're right. Because when you see the first time they use it, it looks like it just blows up that small city or whatever.
yeah, yeah. But you think we're kind of at the end of the movie. Everyone tragically is killed, but they were successful in transmitting the plans, and we, of course, as Star Wars fans, know what happens, and this is the first step in bringing down the Empire. So you
Dude,
feel good about it.
you can't blow past the very end how cool it
No,
is though.
Keith, I was building to this.
I thought you were wrapping it up. I was like, no, you can't.
It's a fake out. It was going to be a fake out because we end up having this insane, awesome ending that was like for me completely unexpected that they were going to go.
Yeah.
I thought they were just going to leave it a little open ended, like we kind of know what happens next, right? But
Mhm.
no, the thing that's been looming over the whole movie, and you've seen him once or twice before this, but the thing when you go into this movie, you're like, huh, who was the bad guy during this time period? And you're like, oh shit, that's right, it was Darth Vader. And it wasn't 100% clear to me whether or not Darth Vader was going to be in the movie until it started getting closer. Um, and boy, is he in it. I mean, they just show him brutally
Just
dismantling
slaughtering
these
the
rebel
rebels.
soldiers. Yeah, and it's violence in a way that they hadn't really done, right? I mean, in a
Yeah.
lot of the Star Wars movies, like the Sith kill people, the bad droids, whatever. Like there's people dying, but it's not very brutal. You usually get like shot by a gun or cut in half with a
I feel like
lightsaber.
it's the Darth Vader that like the morbid Star Wars fans like us have always wanted to see, and then they finally
Yeah.
gave it to you. Like just
Yeah.
seeing him just going ham. Like
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild sequence, and we're used to. Look, you might lose an arm, but I mean, it was a lightsaber, so the wound is
Mhm.
immediately cauterized.
Yeah.
This was, I mean, how many necks broken in this
Yeah.
sequence?
I will say out of all the little well I don't think they did a whole lot of like little Easter eggs, but when you see that guy that gets his arm cut off in A New Hope, you
Yeah,
see him, right? Him and his buddy, the
that's
guy
right.
with the
Yeah.
messed up like pig nose.
Uh huh.
That one
Yeah.
was I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I like that."
Okay. Good. Yeah. I'm a little like, I don't need too many of these like wink moments, and it's
Yeah.
one of the things that I really started to. I feel like the Marvel franchise really did this, and Star Wars was doing a lot of it too, where it's just like the winking at the audience and just getting like
Yeah.
cheap like cheers from the audience. Like,
I'm a mark for that stuff. I don't know why. I know I should hate that
look,
stuff, but
a
like,
lot of people, a lot of people. I mean, I
yeah.
sit in theaters and everyone's going nuts, and I'm like, this stinks.
Okay, don't get. I'm
Yeah.
not one of those people who's gonna like clap and cheer in the theater about that
But
stuff.
you're happy when
But
people
I
are.
am like, oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And look, I like a well placed one, right? I'm not saying
Yeah,
I hate it all the time. I just don't want it to be too much.
yeah,
And I think some of these works do border on doing it a little too much. And so that is like maybe the highlight, unexpected set piece of the movie. And then you get one more scene where we see Princess Leia talking about hope, and that's the end of the
yeah.
movie. And you're like, wow, wow. Well, all right, perfect way to end it. Again, just complete CGI. I think there's an actress, and with Grand Moff Tarkin, like there is an actor, but it's obviously like just CGI on top of,
Mhm.
and but she looks better than Grand Moff Tarkin, and it's quick, and it's just a good ending. The
Mhm.
only problem I have with the Darth Vader stuff, and I don't know if you feel this way, and I saw people were debating this online a little bit, but like I kind of feel like you can tell that James Earl Jones is like pretty old doing the voice.
Yeah, the voice didn't really bother me.
No, you do
No,
you?
it might be because I haven't watched the originals in a while, but I do want to
Well,
say though, I feel like it was they had a lot of restraint. Like they could have used him a lot more, and
sure.
I feel like it was cool that they kind of left him in the background for
I
most
think
of
that's
it.
better. Keep it limited.
And when you see him choking, he does the force choke on
Yeah,
I
Ben
forget the
Mendelsohn,
other dude's name, but
Orson
when you see,
Krennic.
yeah, that's another cool thing. I don't know, just makes him seem like pretty menacing, you know.
Oh, for sure. And but I think you're right. Like keep it limited. But it seemed like people were saying, yeah, his voice is kind of cracky and sounds like he's straining at times, but it's because that's what Gareth Edwards wanted, and he wanted like a lot of emotion from him because people were saying that in A New Hope, it's like the most emotional you see Darth Vader getting, and then in Empire and Jedi, he's like way more stoic and
Yeah,
calm. So they were saying that he was trying to more emulate the A New Hope version of Darth Vader, but I was like, I just kind of was like, I don't know. It kind of seems like his voice is cracking a little bit. Like I'm not horrible. Like I'm not saying it didn't like ruin it for me or anything, but I just noticeable to me. That's
yeah,
it. Just noticeable. Not even a nitpick. I'm not even saying I have a problem with it. It's just I noticed it. Okay.
right.
Um, so I think that's probably it for Rogue One, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we covered it. Like we said, that for me at least, this is my I'll say it. This is my
Yeah.
favorite of like the
Same.
Disney Star
Yeah.
Wars for sure.
Okay.
I love how
Okay.
dark it is, and
Yeah.
like you said, it's just a cool cast of characters, and it's fun seeing a Star Wars movie that isn't surrounded like that isn't based around the Jedi too. Which is cool. It's
Yeah.
just like feels more grounded, you know. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. I agree, and we share that. And I'll just say, look, we're probably not gonna do as many mainstream movies on this show, but it does feel like people are more into mainstream movies. So I
From
tried to
the
just
views and
yeah.
downloads on the various platforms we go on, Goonies, our first episode, definitely has the most views and listens, and I don't know if that's just can we contribute that to the fact that the Goonies is probably the most well known movie we've done. I don't know,
I'm sure it's a
but
factor. I mean, it could also be that, people gave it a shot and then quickly got out.
yeah, maybe we should have started with something a little I don't know more obscure for our first episode where
Well,
we're
I felt like we needed to do something with some recognition. And then,
yeah.
look,
This
we're
is
going to do the
inside
movies we
baseball.
want
It
to
doesn't
do,
matter. We're gonna do the movies that we want to talk about that we're most interested in. You
but
know.
we'll occasionally try to slide in ones that have some mainstream appeal. And this was one that it just came to mind to me because it was actually a movie that we watched together that I know that we both like. So,
And in the interest of not sounding pretentious,
yeah.
we do like blockbuster movies too. They're just not
Oh, yeah.
as interesting to talk about for us for the most part.
Totally, totally. The blockbuster movies we want to talk about is like Rain of Fire.
Yeah.
So, okay, well that's Rogue One. Thanks, Keith.
Okay, it's that time again to talk about our homework. This is the segment where we each assign each other a movie to watch just because we want to hear what each other's thoughts are. So, this week, or this episode, Matt assigned me The Passenger from 1975. It's directed by Michelangelo Antonioni, which is
Yeah.
probably the most Italian name I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, he's another one. I mean, I talked about, Fellini and Bertolucci and these guys. Antonioni, I mean, I've seen probably four of his movies, but he's another one that I need to like really like experience, the full filmography, or at least like more of a percentage than I'm currently at.
Mhm.
He has a few criterions um, that are available, and I own like four of them. But this is actually not a criterion. This is
Indicator.
Indicator, who
Indicator, yeah.
does some cool stuff.
Yeah.
They're I don't know. I don't know how you would describe their releases. They're better than Kino Lorber
Yeah.
in
I
terms
like
of like
their cases. They use the same like cases as Criterion, I think, and Arrow.
yeah,
Like
okay,
the
yeah, they're like the
thicker cases,
thicker,
which I like.
yeah. But I actually offered you a few options that were all like Jack Nicholson like
Yeah.
70s movies.
What was the sailor one? Because I watched a trailer for it, and now that it came up in like a video I was
The
watching
Last
where,
Detail.
yeah, it came up in a video of like Wes Anderson's favorite movies, and now I was like,
The
damn
Last
it, I wish I
Detail is
would have
great.
watched that one.
Well, I'll assign it to you later. Like
Okay.
we'll end up doing probably all three of those movies. I mean, obviously I talk a lot about liking 70s movies, and Jack Nicholson was like Mr. 70s movie. Like his
Yeah.
movies from that era are so great. Of course, he's always like rail thin.
Yeah. I'm glad that you assigned this to me too, because like I'll say when I first started it, it starts off very slow. So I
I
was
was very
kind of
slow.
like, it was a struggle for me to get into it because there's almost like there's not even really any talking for the first like 10 or 20 minutes of
It's
it.
very slow.
And you don't know who this guy is. You're just following him as he's driving around the desert, and he's like, you don't really know what's happening or who or what he's even doing. So I
Yeah.
was kind of frustrated, I guess, in the first little bit
No,
of
it
it.
is. And it takes a while to get. And when I was rewatching it, I was like, I think he's gonna have a hard time with this part.
I
Um,
did probably like halfway through when he meets the girl that he ends up hanging out with and stuff.
who is credited as the girl?
Yeah, the girl, that's her name, and
Yeah.
they I guess they don't ever say her name, but and it's by the very end I was super into it. The final shot is like I guess famous in this movie.
The last shot is awesome. I mean,
It's like a oneer from the
it's
70s, which is awesome.
yeah, just this long tracking shot that's also like holding. I mean, it's not even like a tracking shot in the way that you're used to, where the camera's moving along. The camera does move, but the camera
Yeah.
moves very slowly, and it's like
Yeah.
starting by looking out this window, and it kind of takes you through the window and out into like
Mhm.
this dusty courtyard. And then then it like flips around. It finishes like by like looking at the hotel,
Yeah.
and
I
then
was
that like
wondering how they did it because yeah, because it starts out moving very slowly from like this hallway or something, and you're looking through this like screen door, something with like metal bars, and it's almost like the camera went through the bars and then it just starts going up, and then it's like showing the
yeah.
parking lot where all this stuff is happening, and it's like I don't know, it was awesome. Yeah.
No, and you can tell it's like iconic. When you experience
Mhm.
it, you're like, wow, this is really something, and
Yeah.
something the movie is known for. But it is, I mean, so what I've come to know of Antonioni's movies, and it's actually in one of his movies are definitely like referenced in Mad Men, which I've been on record for saying that I like quite a bit. And I'll tell you this, Keith, this is like wild for me and Lindsay. So I mean, we both like Mad Men quite a bit. Probably collectively our favorite show between the two of us. Well, I'll just say that. Like, Twin Peaks is up there for me. Um, we like to put on X Files together, but pound for pound, the collective favorite television show of all time in this household is Mad Men. And
Yeah.
like I told you before, I got AMC Plus just so I could have the series up there to stream, which we do, and we're almost always watching. But in addition to that, my Samsung TV just like has a bunch of channels on it or whatever that just come with the TV. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
One of them is an AMC channel that also just plays Mad Men nonstop. So we'll just turn on the TV, like meaning to switch over to cable to watch sports or something, or even meaning for me to put on a movie or put on Netflix or whatever. But when we turn on the TV, it goes straight to this Mad Men channel, and we get sucked in, and we'll just watch the episode. And
It was a
but
good show.
Antonioni's movies remind me of Mad Men quite a bit because, well, in this movie, the guy takes somebody else's identity, which is, spoiler
Mhm.
from the first season of Mad Men, what Don Draper does. Um, and, but it's like this borderline existential crisis characters that are experiencing like periods of disillusionment. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that like a lot of Antonioni's movies are like that, and the characters are like that, and it reminds me of Mad Men. There's definitely like somewhat of an influence there. I mean, you wouldn't say it's exactly like it, but you can see some of
Yeah.
the crossover with the character traits. And Don Draper seems like a character from an Antonioni movie,
Yeah.
and I'm not just saying that because Jack Nicholson's character in this movie takes somebody else's identity and goes off on this kind of misadventure. He gets himself in real deep, real quick.
Yeah. That was one of my notes I wrote down. I was like, this movie feels very 70s, and it's got this very like relaxed, nonchalant vibe to it, which I feel like is a lot of these 70s movies that you've been recommending to me like
Yeah, buckle
Night
up, Keith.
Moves was similar. Like, and I dig the whole like it's not really like a hangout movie vibe, but it's I don't know, like all these characters they never seem like too worried or concerned about like getting stuck somewhere. Like
No cell phones.
Jack Nicholson is just like traveling in all these different countries. He's driving through the desert and he just like he's not worried about losing his credit card or something, you know? That's
I
stuff
know.
I'd be thinking about. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get
Well, it
left
just
out
so
here.
happens that the identity of the guy that he takes is like some sort of what is he, an arms
Yeah.
dealer?
That's where I was kind of going with that too, is the fact that that just ends up working out for him super easily.
Kinda. Starts off working out for him.
And so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think he assumes this other guy's identity because he wants to continue pursuing this story about the war or whatever? Or do you think he's just doing it because he found out that his wife is cheating on him and he's just like you said, he's having this existential crisis and
Yeah, I totally took it as just like an escape.
that's how I read it too.
Yeah.
But
And
like here, let me the quick like one sentence description on IMDb is unable to find the war he has been asked to cover. A frustrated war correspondent takes the risky path of co-opting the identity of a dead arms dealer acquaintance, which makes it sound like he's doing it because he wants to continue going after this story or whatever. But that's not what I got from the movie at
no.
all.
Well, after he gets the money, I mean, he just goes and starts having
Yeah.
fun with it.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard other people bring this up in other podcasts before, but whoever writes the descriptions for IMDb movies sometimes just is way off.
Yeah. We should be able to vote someone in for that job. It
Yeah.
should be like a
And one
public office.
sentence for the description on this movie? Come on.
Yeah,
You need
really.
more than one
Yeah, I don't
sentence.
think you're getting it out of that. Nothing
Yeah.
about the girl?
Yeah. Yeah.
The girl? But yeah, I did know that you would have a little bit of trouble with the slowness in the beginning because I do too. Like I'm not like,
Mhm.
oh, Keith can't handle this. It's like it's slow, but like once you kind of get on the path, it never picks up the pace, but there's more of a sense of dread. It becomes
Yeah.
like it sort of slowly becomes he's in wide open space, but the walls are closing in on him.
Well, when you hear what the gist of this movie is, this guy is a documentarian like reporter who, like you said, he assumes the identity of this guy that he finds dead in his hotel, and then that guy ends up being like this arms dealer, and then he's being chased by these people, or he's like going around going to these meetings that the arms dealer had set up. It sounds like a very exciting movie, but it's not really.
Yeah, it's very slow. It's
Yeah.
very slow. But yeah, well, I'm glad you liked it because I wasn't sure. This was the first
Yeah.
one that I was like, I mean, Keith might bounce off this pretty hard.
I mean, yeah, the beginning was it was hard to get into it, but
Yeah.
once I started getting the feeling of like realizing like, oh yeah, he's just kind of like he knows his wife's cheating on him. It's like very bleak and he's like, well, this was the other question I was going to ask you too. At the very end, so we're going to
Yeah.
spoil it right now.
Yeah.
Fast forward like 1 minute if you're worried about spoilers for The
Yeah.
Passenger from 1975.
Yeah.
Do you
Whoever's
think
riding their bike right now, it's like
yeah.
panicking.
So fast forward like 1 minute. Do you think that he stayed in the hotel like purposely knowing he was gonna be killed like to save the girl, or do you think he was being suicidal by staying there and not trying to escape?
I'm not sure because he never like
Or do you
he
think he
never
just didn't know they were coming after him or whatever?
I mean, he always gives the impression that he's in over his head.
Well, they have that conversation that's very like contemplative about life, and it almost makes you think that he's like depressed or something.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to the girl in bed like right before the end of the movie, and he tells some story about some guy who wants to die or something. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
remember exactly,
No,
but
well, look, I do think you can read that into it, right? But I also think that like he doesn't know what he's doing either. So
yeah, that's
I think you can be like, yes, this was intentional, and he knew they were going to catch him and kill him there, or you could be like, eh, he never knows what he's doing in this whole thing.
that's true.
He's
Yeah,
making it up as he goes. So, but he definitely seems to be at peace with the fact that he could just be dead. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
not a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of darkness around his character for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right.
We
Well,
can
I'm
move on.
glad you liked it though. So, you on the other hand assigned me Mute Witness, right? Which do you have a
Yeah.
copy of that next year?
I
Or?
do. I have the
Okay.
Arrow Blu-ray, which I bought blindly in one of the Barnes and Noble
Yeah.
sales a while ago, and
Well, it looks
yeah,
cool. And I like this. I don't, maybe it's not fair to say more than I was expecting to. I didn't know what to expect because I didn't really know what it was like, but I did like it. Lucky for me, it was streaming on, I think AMC Plus, so that worked
okay,
out. Another Mad Men connection. Um, I think I read your letterbox review of it, and it definitely resonated with me because it it does get like a weird tone at a certain point because it starts
yeah.
off dark. I'll
It's
tell you this, like 20 minutes into the movie, Keith, I was like, can it be? Is this a midnight movie? Like I was
I
like getting
know,
a
yeah.
little,
It feels like a De Palma thing. Like,
yeah.
th- basically, it starts out. It's this girl who works in the movie industry. She's like a special effects artist, and she does like gore and stuff. And basically, she witnesses a murder, and it's like a messed up murder, dude. It's like
Oh
somebody
yeah, a
these
snuff film.
yeah, these dudes are like filming what you think is a porno at first. It starts out as like a porno, like after hours after the set has shut down.
Yeah,
And it's like really creepy actually. This whole like opening scene, like
yeah.
so
Well,
she witnesses this and then they murder her like on film or whatever and
yeah.
yeah.
And then right after that, there is the longest like slow chase sequence
Yeah.
that I've ever experienced in a
They're
way that
upstairs, they're downstairs, they're all over the place.
I mean, I don't know how long it is. It's got to be like 20 minutes, this whole sequence.
I
Like,
loved it though. I really enjoyed
well,
the opening.
me too. But I just want to tell you, there was a part like 18 minutes into this thing where I'm like, is this the rest of the movie? Like, I kind of thought that this chase was just going to be, like, I thought that maybe the rest of the movie was just going to be her in this building with these two guys because it kept going
Yeah.
on. And there's like a million close calls. I actually wrote down like too many close calls, question mark.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Some of the stuff in the elevator gets a little
yeah.
unbelievable. Like
Um, but that was fun. I don't know why I wrote this down. Landing in film canisters. Ouch. She does go
yeah.
like it does seem like she would be like way more messed up
Yeah.
from that. But the thing that you wrote down that really I totally agreed with was like at a certain point there's like a lot of stuff in this movie that's played for laughs, which is weird
Yeah.
because it doesn't have that tone in the beginning.
It like yeah, it threw me off a little bit and it kind of took away from my rating of the movie for sure. Like I was at the beginning I was probably at like a 4 and then I'd maybe give it a 3 or 3.5
I think I
because
gave it a 3.5, yeah.
yeah, I
But
don't know.
I almost feel like the more time I'm getting away from it, the more I like it now too.
Yeah.
Because it's I think some people would probably listen to this though and be like, "What the hell are these guys talking about?" Because actually, the very opening scene is kind of played for laughs. They're filming the
It
horror
is,
movie,
yeah.
and that woman actress who is like way overdoing the death scene,
She's like
and it just goes,
hanging on the drapes and like falling
yeah,
over.
and it
And
just
then the
goes
director
on,
says
and like
something like, I asked you to just give us more or something. And that's like, yeah.
yeah. So that part is obviously like a goof and played for
Hmm.
laughs, but then you get into this really dark sequence that lasts forever, and then I mean, this is like they're making a movie, but somehow it's like there's like all of this like police corruption
Yeah.
involved in all this and everything. But I just there's one scene that I have to tell you about, or that I have to talk about that I thought was like so great and
Is
so
it the
funny.
neighbor?
Yeah, yeah. But like, so we before we get to that though, we should at least mention the whole thing is like, oh, the main character, the woman, she can't speak, she's mute,
Yeah.
hence the name.
Yeah.
So that's like the gimmick of the movie. Now she can hear, um, which should have been obvious, but at first, I guess like this was very insensitive of me. But the first thing I thought was like that she was also deaf.
No,
But
I think me and Chris were talking about that too when we first watched it. We're like, well, she has to be able to hear, right? I
yeah,
mean,
because people are
otherwise,
calling,
yeah,
like her sister
yeah.
calls her and she answers the phone and she can,
And she has that cool like computer setup that like
yeah,
will talk for her.
that's
I
right,
thought that
yeah.
was cool.
It becomes very clear that she's not deaf, and I know that it's like wrong, but I'm just admitting like my initial thought was that she was also deaf. Like that's
Uh-huh.
just what I thought when she was mute. But so that's the whole thing is like she can't actually like explain the things that she's seeing. She's having to do all of like maybe her because people aren't necessarily believing her that these guys killed this woman. Like,
Yeah.
and they somehow have all sorts of crazy covers too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you end up finding out that they're associated with this like mob or something,
yeah.
this gangster, and yeah, like you said, there's like police corruption going on, and it gets pretty wild.
Even
You know
like
what I was thinking of?
there's a cop that does the Darth Vader like double switch like 3 times. It
Yeah.
seems like being detective. You're like, is this guy good or bad? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, like a lot of it is played for laughs and stuff. But you know what I was kind of thinking of when I was watching it, when it got into the the mob type stuff. For
Uh-huh.
some reason, I was like, Eli Roth must be like a big fan of this because it was reminiscent of Hostel to me for some reason,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
with
I
like
can't
the
see it.
hound dog people or whatever, and they're like,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. I was thinking it was
No,
reminiscent of that a little bit.
I mean I could definitely see that being an influence. I mean, look, Eli Roth is a huge horror fan that
Hmm.
and definitely likes the
Yeah.
niche stuff. So I could see that
By the
100%.
end of this movie, though, would you consider it a horror movie or no?
I still consider it a horror movie. Yeah.
Okay, because I would consider like the first 30 minutes of the movie a horror movie, and then the rest, no, not at all.
It could be a horror comedy.
Okay, yeah.
Um, but we didn't actually get into it. But the best scene I thought in the whole movie was like she has a creep voyeur neighbor who's always like spying on her with like binoculars or whatever from across the street. Like they're in like high rise apartment
Uh-huh.
buildings, and he has made a couple attempts when she's like getting in and out of the shower or whatever, and she knows it. So she's not exactly like flaunting herself. She's kind of being like, ugh, like rolling her eyes at it. But then there's a part where she's being attacked in her apartment and she's just trying to get any attention, trying to get any help. And I think she's wearing a robe and she
Uh-huh.
just goes over to the window and completely disrobes towards the voyeur neighbor and he's not looking.
Yeah. And she even like dances around a little bit too,
Yeah.
doesn't she?
And I thought that was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, that voyeur missed his golden opportunity finally. Although it probably would have been horrible for him because he would have actually saw something was wrong and had to go and get involved
Y-
with these corrupt police who were like killing people. So,
Dude, so that part was really funny, but what I thought you were going to bring up was the downstairs neighbor who kept banging on the ceiling when they're making
oh yeah,
noise.
yeah.
I
Okay.
thought that's the part you were going to say was
That was
funny.
funny too. That was funny too. No, the voyeur thing like really made me like laugh. I laughed out
Yeah.
loud when that part happened.
So I should clarify too, like even though I was thrown off a little bit by the comedy, I do think it's pretty good though.
No,
Like,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree, and I'm sort of like rethinking my 3.5. I'm almost like,
Yeah.
is this a 4? I can
Maybe
maybe.
it'll bump up a little bit
Yeah,
on a repeat viewing.
I'll watch it again sometime. You and me should watch this together, actually.
Yeah, it could be pretty fun.
Yeah, like next time I come over your house,
Okay.
I'll mute
Yeah,
when it's
like I
on the
said, I
list. We
have
need.
this. You know what else kind of threw me off? I think because I didn't really know much about the movie, I just bought it blindly because I heard people say it was cool. I didn't even watch like a full review.
Yeah,
But from this cover, doesn't it look more serious because her mouth is like sewn shut?
right, which was totally something that I was expecting to happen in the movie because this
Yeah.
was the cover,
It
and it
looks
doesn't.
it looks like it's gonna be, I don't know. To me, when I look at that image, I'm just like, this looks like it's gonna be a straight horror movie.
Yeah, I totally like. So maybe that's it. Maybe our expectations are a little
Yeah.
throwing us off a little bit, but we both still liked the movie and
Hmm.
plan to revisit at some point. I'd say so. Hopefully together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, anything else for this week, Keith?
No, I'm good. You have anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, I got as much of the Cowboy Carter talk out as I could. I guess the one thing I should say, just what Lindsay really hit home afterward, she was like, we totally missed an opportunity for you to just go like complete gay cowboy outfit to the show. I was like, yeah, that would have been funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, that would have been quite a sight, huh?
Yeah.
Now you want to talk about a horror movie?
Yeah.
Me in
I'm
short
picturing
jean
it's like
shorts
some assless chaps or something.
and just like a vest with nothing underneath, like a leather vest with no shirt.
Oh, okay. You know what just came to mind? I have a really cool way to end the show. We'll play the clip that Justin sent us. Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good. That's better than do it for pizza and go.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch you next time.
All right, boys. This one's for you. Let's get it.
Return to Videotech.